Hi everybody, Neil Kravitz here. I hope you're enjoying these daily clinical pearls. This clinical pearl is about mandibular asymmetry. I think the longer you practice in orthodontics, the better you will get at diagnosing mandibular asymmetry. And really, you have to tell the parent about this the moment you see it. Otherwise, a parent will mistakenly blame orthodontics for the lower jaw growing asymmetrically, and we know orthodontics has nothing to do with this. This is the patient's genetics. But it's important to tell the parent, listen, the lower jaw is skeletally longer or shorter on one side. And ideally, you let them know this during the consultation. We actually have a special consideration consent form during the consultation where I will talk about lower jaw asymmetry. This is particularly true if the patient's prognathic on one side. So a lot of times the patients will say, listen, the midlines don't match or the chin is deviating and the braces cause this. Now, of course, the braces can't cause the chin to grow asymmetrically, but we do want to let the parent know about this because we have to make a few decisions. Now, if it's a prognathic mandible, class 3 asymmetric on one side, we can either leave it alone and leave the midlines to be deviated a little bit if it's just a little bit asymmetrical, or you can certainly extract one premolar on one side to get the dental midlines to match. Sometimes the chin still deviates a little bit from the facial midline, but that works very, very well. It's usually a long treatment plan, but it works very well. Now, the bigger challenge is when you have a retrognathic patient with mandibular asymmetry. So retrognathia with mandibular asymmetry. And my pearl for diagnosing this is that you will have a second molar erupted on one side but impacted on the other. And oftentimes a functional appliance, even if you're running it unilaterally or bilaterally, is never going to be enough to correct that. You simply have to accept a subdivision, occlusion, or malocclusion on that one side. So in summary, I want you to pay a high attention to mandibular asymmetry. Let the parent know the moment you detect it, but really try to detect this during your consultations. If you do detect it, have a consent form that lets the parent know that the midlines may deviate in the absence of surgery. If it's a mild mandibular asymmetry, you can leave it. You can simply extract one tooth on the lower arch. If it's a lower jaw asymmetry due to retrognathia, oftentimes in the absence of a bilateral sagittal split osteotomy, you're simply going to have to accept a subdivision malocclusion at the end of treatment. Let me know what you think about this pearl. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to this page. Thank you for supporting the JCO.